What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the MovieDash podcast, brought to you by Lawyat.net, a podcast where we review movies, TV series, as well as discuss and debate the latest hot topics in the world of cinema. I'm Dashran, Yohan, and joining me today to review Ford versus Ferrari is none other than Lee Jin So. Welcome.
Hello there.
Yes, hello. So this is going to be an interesting method of reviewing a movie, I guess. Like, unlike our previous episodes, like, you didn't actually watch the movie yet.
I've not.
Yeah, because you couldn't come for the screening. So like, what we're gonna do is as usual, I'm gonna like break down what the movie is at first, like give the synopsis and all.
Yep.
And then you're gonna like grill me. Basically, you're gonna put me on the spot and ask me questions. Yeah. Maybe I'll ask you some questions also.
Sure thing.
Okay, so we'll see how this goes.
All right.
So basically, yeah, like, do you know like anything about Ford v Ferrari? Like, what do you like think the story's about?
All right, so this is a biopic, right?
Yes, correct.
So it's based on a true story.
Yes.
I don't know anything about the original story or where the story comes from. I don't know anything about the Ford and Ferrari story per se. I've seen the trailer.
Okay.
It looks like a very sort of upbeat, there's stylistic points to it in terms of like watching the trailer. I don't know how much of that is incorporated into the film per se, but on the trailer, it looks pretty interesting, and I would have wanted to watch it as well.
Yeah, I think you definitely like hit the nail on the head, especially when it comes to the style. But let's talk about like what the story is first, right?
Okay, sure.
Okay, so like basically like the movie opens like and like sales of Ford, like the Ford car company, has been dropping. So the entire marketing team and the boss Henry Ford II, they are like trying to brainstorm ideas on how they can be like this, like the top car in the country again and stuff like that. And like, so like one of the marketing people basically suggests that they, like, he comes up with the thing and says like, why is everyone veering towards Ferrari? Why has Ferrari become like the number one car? And that's because they are associated with winners. Because so like Ferrari has been winning it's basically a racing competition called the Le Mans. Okay, it's a 24-hour race around the track. So you have to keep driving around the track for 24 hours, and after the end of the 24 hours, the car with the most laps wins. So like Ferrari, and that basically Le Mans at that time was the biggest racing competition. Like, it was like how Formula One is right now. So like basically, and Ford is not a car race, like it's not a racing car, but this marketing team basically suggests that they compete against Ferrari in the Le Mans and all. And Ferrari has been like winning every single race. So like what they do is they approach an ex-professional racer, Carroll Shelby, who he had to quit racing because of a car accident. And Carroll Shelby is played by Matt Damon. And like this so they approach this guy to help them build like a racing car that can compete with Ferrari at the Le Mans in 90 days. So in 90 days, they have to build the fastest car in the world.
That beats Ferrari.
Beats Ferrari. And not only that, because it's not just about how good the car is, it's also about finding a damn good driver. So like Carroll Shelby basically approaches his friend, Ken Miles, which is played by Christian Bale. And so this whole thing is about how it builds towards the race between Ford v Ferrari. And the whole goal is to make Ford like this brand that everybody wants to buy again. Yeah, so that's basically the story. Like, so based on that, like does it sound interesting?
No, it does actually. Yeah, like if you were to tell me like, okay, it's a car film about Ford trying to beat Ferrari, but then there weren't these points of, you know, like 90 days or like definitely have to do things to make it dramatized, right?
Yes.
To make it more interesting. And I'm not haven't seen it yet, so I'm not sure what they did to do that. Yeah. But from what you're telling me, sounds interesting. Yeah.
And like, I think you brought up an interesting point about like how it's not just a car race, but let's talk about the car race first, okay? Because like, so basically like what's really interesting. So like this James Mangold, like do you like James Mangold as a director? Yeah, he did Logan, like the Wolverine movie, The Wolverine, where they go to Japan, and also like Seven Psychopaths and all that. Do you like him as a director?
Don't know about The Wolverine, the Japanese film.
Yeah,
that one's a bit.
Yeah,
but so pretty much neutral, I guess. Yeah, I don't hate him, but
yeah, I'm actually not a huge fan, but I
Okay.
really like James Mangold. And
Right.
like what I like about him is like he's been making like modern westerns in a way. Like Logan is pretty much like a western
Right.
with superhero
Yep.
movies.
Yep.
And even this, although it's about car racing, it's actually shot in a western sort of way. So
Right,
like
right,
how he
okay.
makes the characters all feel is like they're cowboys on wheels. So like even the music,
Yep.
it's very like old school Clint Eastwood kind
Yeah,
of western
yeah,
type of
yeah,
thing. So
yes,
you hear
yes.
that kind of 70s western music, and then like but they're instead of like on horses in the desert
yeah,
or
in
whatever,
cars.
like in like
Yeah.
they're in cars, and like even like the color palette and everything, the movie feels very dusty and like that kind of thing. So it really feels like a very old school western, and it's the sequences, right? Like when you watch like a lot of car, like other, let's say like Fast and Furious or
Yep.
whatever, like the racing and all is cool, but there isn't much of like a gravity to it,
Okay.
right? This one, the sequences are very, very thrilling. They are not just cool, although they are very cool. Like they are all like shot like very slickly. It's like
Yep.
very badass. The music is good. Like you hear the rumbles of the engine and all beneath your feet and all that. But they also like have this very strong emotional driving force. That means like you are actually rooting for these characters. Like every single lap, like as the laps go more and more, you are like you get more and more enthralled. You're
Right,
at the edge of your seat, and like it's so meaningful. You root for these characters like you're watching Rocky
Yep,
or like
yep.
Creed or one of those
Okay.
movies.
That's interesting to know, because like I would have thought that would have been the thing that they would be placed on the side, and they would be more focused on more of the characters based on the trailer.
Yeah.
So maybe they will be focused on the marketing guy,
Yeah.
Matt Damon's character,
Yes.
and also Christian Bale. But you're telling me as well that they also focus on the racing elements. and
Yes.
that's interesting,
Yeah, and I
actually,
think
yeah.
like it strikes the balance
Okay,
perfectly,
okay,
because
yeah.
like you brought up something very interesting, but even when it comes to the racing, right? Like what they do a very good job of is like when you watch a movie like Fast and Furious or whatever, like it's just very fun.
Yep.
So like let's say if you quote unquote want to be like inspired, you'll just be like, oh, I hope like I can do like Tokyo Drift,
Yes.
that kind of thing. Like I hope I can drift like that guy, that kind of thing.
I still do. Okay, so,
Yeah,
sorry.
like that's sometimes I get behind my car and I go
For sure. Then you just like change the
change
gear,
my
like,
auto
multiple times.
gear from N to D, N to D,
Yeah, even though it's
that kind
auto,
of
yeah.
thing. Yeah.
Sorry, go on.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
but this movie, it may not necessarily make you feel that way. It's cool, but they establish that it's a very dangerous sport, and like to be able to drive like that, in such a professional level especially, you need to have like pinpoint precision, and you need to have you need to bleed cars like these people do, because like it's so like when they're driving, you're not just rooting for them. There are scenes where like they're trying to take turns, although it's like on a track or whatever, right? Or sometimes you're just driving in training session, you feel so scared for these people, although like they established that they are like this guy is like very like good.
Yep.
And like he's like one of the best. Like Ken Miles is like superb, like he's excellent at driving, but you still like there's this fear, because they show like how like certain things can happen to the car, like if you don't time certain things properly, if you just like slam on the accelerator all the way from the start, you may like fry your brakes very fast, or something may happen to your engine or whatever.
Okay.
And like when these kind of things happen, it may be life or death. It can put you in like a life or death situation.
Right,
So
right.
like that is very interesting.
And they get quite technical into it.
Yes.
Okay.
But like you said, it's not just about the racing.
Right,
So like
yes.
what makes the racing very meaningful is the characters. Like you mentioned just now, like about like what like about the marketing guy.
Yep.
And all that. And actually like as the movie progresses, right, it becomes less about Ford versus Ferrari and more about Ford versus Ford. So what the movie does very interesting is like, before we get into the characters, is like how the central theme, or if you can call it that, is basically about how like you have Ford is a very corporate company. They are about men in suits. That's the image. And like all these marketing people, right? It's like that's the image they keep trying to reinforce. Like although they want to win the race and all these kind of things, it's like they do not like a person like Ken Miles, who's basically just, he's like, Christian Bale is superb in the role. He basically just plays like this crass character. He's like, I'm gonna say whatever I want to whoever it is, and I'm just gonna stick to my principles. Like I don't care, like I don't give a crap about who you are or anything. He's that type of character, and he's very short tempered and all that, but he's also like a very good friend, a great father, and a great husband. So like there is this balance in the character. It's very realistic. So like there's this conflict within Ford itself, where like the marketing people is clashing with Carroll Shelby and Ken Miles. Okay. Although technically they have a similar goal, do they? Because like Karen Shelby and Ken Miles, they want to win the race because they want to win the race. That's their passion, that's their life. Whereas the marketing people want to win the race because they want to sell more cars.
Yep.
So it becomes like this interesting conflict there. And like, I think like even if you're not interested in movies, right? Like let's say it can also be like translated to other mediums. Let's say if you're interested in movies, it can be like this conflict between like a purist filmmaker versus like a corporate big studio. And that's our poster that just fell down. Like a big studio that wants to like only make a movie for the sake of money. And basically the conflict is between like this auteur director and like this big corporate studio person and their clash. Yeah, that's pretty much
relevant, especially in this day and time. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so like okay, among like the actors, right? Like were the actors like one of the reasons like you're interested? What did you think when you watched the trailer and all that? Like what piqued your interest?
I think they definitely did. Like and they showcased most of that, which is those two characters, right? Matt Damon and also Christian Bale's character. Yeah. You know, they showed Christian Bale just punching Matt Damon, not caring about anything he says and all that. When Matt Damon says, "Okay, we have 90 days," he just laughs at it like it's a joke. Yeah. So I think that would make me want to watch the film as well. Like those guys, big players. Who else is in the film other than?
So Matt Damon? Like. The other big name in the movie is like John Bernthal, who plays Punisher. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
So they have like a bunch of other character actors. Excuse me, but yeah, those are like the three biggest names in the movie. But everyone plays a very very like good. There's this one marketing guy who, so like John Bernthal is one of the marketing guys, and there's another marketing guy who is excellent as the complete corporate shill. Like he is like as corporate shill as it gets. So like he is just like you know, like he is basically like the guy that keeps on clashing with Ken Miles. He's the polar opposite to Ken Miles. All he thinks about is like, how do we market? So like there's an interesting clash between that, and it's also like a interesting clash between Ken Miles and Carroll Shelby. So like Ken Miles is basically Christian Bale, Carroll Shelby is Matt Damon, and in this movie both of them are best friends, right? But Christian Bale is a cowboy. He doesn't care. He just wants to race. And like at the start of the movie, like as the movie, like he basically becomes like the IRS like closes down his garage and all, and he's very poor and all that. But he's a guy that, not that he doesn't care, they show that he's really willing to sacrifice racing to put food on the table. But you know, it's one of those things that is going to just always bug him. It's more than a passion, it's an obsession. And he's not good at talking to people at all. Like he always gets into arguments with everybody except his family. Everyone else is like always like getting into fights with them, and he's like trying to like, you know, pick a fight and all that. But whereas Carroll Shelby, although he's as passionate as Ken Miles, he is more of like this, like he's a people's person. So like there's this interesting scene where like Carroll Shelby delivers a speech, and you think in the speech he's gonna shout out Ken Miles, but he shouts out Henry Ford II as basically this man who loves cars, and the reason he does it is because he knows what to say, even if it may not be 100% true.
Yep.
Like he knows what to say, and so like there is that interesting conflict between the best friends as well.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's a very interesting movie. Like, what else do you like look forward to, like when it comes to these kind of movies? Like, does the runtime bother you? Like, it's 2.5 hours.
Well, no, if it's interesting, I think it doesn't bother me. Oh, yeah, if you're really invested in it, in the characters, in the whole concept, and the story of Ford versus Ferrari, and as well as the subplots and all that with the characters, then I don't think it will be a problem. Yeah,
and I think like that's how I felt also. Like, whereas like some movies, when it's like, even like if it's 1 hour 45 minutes or what, it feels really long. But this one is like 2.5 hours. It doesn't just fly. I wouldn't say it's like fly by. It's not like just a quick paced movie like that, because it is like at times it's like a very slow character drama, which is good because they even establish like the small moments between like Ken and his wife and all that, and they build the relationship between Ken and his son, and like how his son is also there's this like extended family. So there's our scenes where like Ken's son, who is just like a supporting character, is like, and all that, and his son is like, what is his son's relationship with Carol Shelby? Like, how do they communicate with each other? All these small scenes. So like these scenes are not exactly like big and exciting, but they are very small character moments. But it's a movie that by the end of the 2.5 hours, you really feel fulfilled, and it is probably, like, I have to look through my list again, but I think like when I do my top 10 list of 2019, I think it will be up there.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, like it's really, really, really good.
So would you say like it, without knowing anything about the story of Ford vs Ferrari, can it stand on its own as like a, like a film, a character piece about racing as well as friends/enemies?
Definitely, because I think it's like, I know a little bit about Formula One and all that, but I didn't know this story. Like, I didn't know anything about this at all. I knew that there was a point in time where like Ford and Ferrari had this rivalry, but I didn't know like the personal like stories that were involved. I didn't know that it was about like the marketing thing, and like there's this iconic Ford photo kind of thing that, like, without spoiling anything, but that plays a role in the movie as well. I guess if you know the story as well, it's not a spoiler, but I didn't know. So like all these things, because like I didn't know that at the end it becomes more about Ford versus Ford than Ford versus Ferrari. And you don't need to like cars. You don't need to know about cars, because I honestly have no idea about cars or anything like that to enjoy it. Because like a good, like all great like story, like films, right? Like even like if we talk about The Social Network, is probably my favorite biopic of all time. It's a movie about a computer programmer who makes Facebook, but it's not about him typing ones and zeros on his computer or anything. You don't have to know anything about computers, because it's still about the character's journey, and it is about character's journey as well. Yeah, so I think you should definitely check it out.
All right, we'll do.
Yeah.
Okay.
And do you have any other questions, or I think?
So what do you think overall about the film?
Yeah, I think overall it's definitely a must-watch movie. Like the soundtrack is good, the musical score is excellent. Like it really makes you feel like you're in a western. The cinematography is good. The way they choreograph the driving sequences, the acting is good.
So what I've seen in the trailer, with like the stylistic kind of, it's all in there as well.
It's very stylistic. So like, because James Mangold has a specific style. So like this really, like I said, really feel that you will see like this, like as if it's Logan, but now it translates into this world about like car racing. And it's like, characters are great, the drama is great, the tension is great. It's not like a flawless movie, but it's like, its flawlessness or whatever, like it's maybe just like a subjective thing, like from what separates like a great film from a like absolute masterpiece is just that unexplainable subjective feeling. So like maybe that's the only thing. There's nothing like objectively flawed about the film that I can point. It's really, really good from like start to finish. It's one of the best of the year for sure.
All right, I'll catch it if I can then.
All right, So that is basically our review of Ford versus Ferrari, or Ford v Ferrari to be exact. If you like our podcast, be sure to subscribe to MovieDash on YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcast from. Just a disclaimer, like since this is like the first few episodes, I'm not sure if you will be able to find the podcast on Spotify and iTunes yet, but it should be up and running within the next few days or within the week. So until then, do subscribe to us on YouTube. And also, if you like, you can follow us on social media. Where can people find you? Or would you like people to find you at all?
Let's go with the latter.
Yeah,
Yes.
okay. My man right here is a personal guy, so he doesn't want you to add him and ask him questions. But you can add me. You can disagree with me, debate with me. Just follow me at Dash Talks Movies on Twitter and Instagram. Until next time, bye bye.
See ya.